Good morning, grade 5. Today our lesson is about what are solids, liquids and gases. Today inshallah we'll be explaining what's meant by solid, liquid, gas, evaporation, condensation, freezing, melting. Please write the vocabulary words. Those are the most important words in our lesson today inshallah. Please write them in your science notebook and please write today's date, which is 23/2020. So everything around us is made up of matter. Everything around us is made up of matter. And the matter exists in different forms. Could be solid, liquid, or gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. It's three forms for the matter. So the air we breathe is an example of gas. And the juice we drink is an example of liquid. And the chair we sit is an example of solid. Let's look here for the water. When it's in the liquid state, we name it water. When it's in the solid state, it's ice. And when it's in the gaseous state, we call it water vapor. Water vapor. Now, let's try to match this two columns together. We have here gas balloons, and we have here ice cube. We have here water. We have here Iceman in the ice and snow. We have here a soup that has vapor out of it going up there. And here we have waterfall. So the first picture here, which is gas balloons, we can match it, of course, to the vapor that's going out from the soup, water vapor. So because they are both in the gaseous state. And then we can match the ice cube, of course, to the Iceman because they are both in the solid state. And lastly, we can match the waterfall to the water. They are in the liquid state. Now, all matter is made up of particles or tiny pieces, tiny small pieces. Like here we have chalk sticks here. They are made up of small molecules inside it. If we look deeply inside it, we can find the molecules. We name this molecules. Those small particles are called molecules. Molecules are small particles that makes up matter. So again, the matter is made up of small particles. We name those small particles as molecules. In different states, particles have different amounts of motion. And what do we mean by motion? We mean they move. They are moving, the movement itself. So motion is the movement of particles, of those small particles, of those molecules. Do they move? Let's see. In a solid, the particles are closely packed. They are very tight, very closely packed next to each other. They do not move around much. Like here, for example, in these chalk sticks, the molecules does not move around much because we are in the solid state. However, in a liquid state, the particles move around. And in the gaseous state, they move around more than in a liquid. They move freely. The air around us is moving freely. They spread out all the space into the container. They are everywhere. It's moving freely. The gas is moving around us freely. Okay, let's now go here and look. This is the states of matter. We have solid, liquid, the three states of matter, solid, liquid, and gas. The solids, they are closely packed, tightly packed, as you can see. Very tightly packed. They do not move around. However, in the liquid, a little bit they are moving. Okay, because if you tilt the container, if you tilt it right or left, you can feel that the liquid is moving, right? So they have spaces here. Those spaces allow for the movement, the little movement of liquid. Okay? But here in the gas, they are moving freely, even out of the container. As you can see, they are very freely moving around. Now, liquid has no shape. The liquid Like here, water has no shape of its own, but it takes the shape of its container. What do we mean by the container? What do we mean by this? If I pour the water here in this glass, what it takes the shape of the water will take the shape of the glass. And if I put it in this container, in this shape, it takes the shape of the container. If I pour it on the ground, so it takes as well the shape of the ground. So it doesn't have specific shape, no shape of its own. It takes the shape of its container. Whenever the water is poured or put inside whatever container, it takes its shape. Now, solid has definite volume and shape. What do we mean by definite volume and shape? We will explain now. The liquid has definite volume but no definite shape. No definite shape. The gas has no definite volume or shape. So if I asked you to tell me, now this is a box. Okay, imagine that this is a box. Okay, now this box is a solid, right? It's a solid in the solid stage, right? Okay, now it has a volume and it has a shape. Of course, it has definite shape, right? Like you can see the definite shape for it. So what about the volume? The volume is the amount of space that a substance or object occupies. Does it occupy a space? Does it take a space? Yes, of course, it takes a space. So it means it has a volume. The liquid, let's go for the liquid. The liquid has definite volume, of course. If I get here a graduated cylinder that has 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, okay? And then I pour here some water. I will get water and pour it inside it. This is water here, okay? This is made up of water. Now, if I tell you to tell me the volume of water, can you tell me the volume of water here? Yes, the volume is 3. The volume of water is 3 milli. We measure it with mils. Okay, so if I ask you to get me the volume of any container, you can get me a number. Again, if I ask you to get me the volume of water, you can tell me a number. Let's go now for this. We call it again a graduated cylinder. It's like a cylinder that has numbers, graduated here, has numbers, and you just pour inside it the water. Okay, what happens? We are going to measure the volume of water that's inside this bottle or cylinder or container. Now we are going to see the level of water matches with which number. It matches with number 3. So this water, its volume is, the volume equals 3 millis. 3 milli. Okay, 3 milli. So yes, of course, liquid has definite volume, but it doesn't have definite shape. Why? Because as I explained for you here, it takes the shape of any container it's poured inside it. Now the gas. What about the gas? The gas has no definite volume or shape. Why? Because as we explained here, it goes out in the space. It goes out in the space. It moves freely. It doesn't have a specific volume or specific shape. Now we want to see how those states can change. How can I change from one state to another? Like for example here, melting is when solid changes to liquid. An example is butter, right? This is butter. When your mom cooks food, right, she wants to melt the butter. The butter is solid, right? Solid state. And then your mother heats up the pan and put the butter inside it. What happens? It starts to melt. Melts from solid to liquid, correct? So it starts to melt from solid into liquid state. From solid into liquid state. So this is what do we mean by melting. Melting is the change from solid to liquid state. Let's go here for the next change of state. Condensation. The word condensation. Condensation is the process by which gas changes into liquid. If you are on a hot day and you're drinking a glass of water, what will happen? The hot air particles here, hot air, right? Hot air. Everywhere, right? Okay. Imagine here there is hot air around the glass. And here you have what? You have a cold drink, cold water or drink, right? Okay. Now what happens? Condensation occurs directly. How come? Those particles, those hot air particles, they start to condense on the glass and they form water vapor. Water vapor. So what happened? The hot air was gas state, right? Gas state changes into what happened here? Water vapor. Water is liquid. Liquid. So the change from gas to liquid, we name it condensation. Here is it. Condensation. The change from hot air particles, which is gas, into water vapor, which is liquid, we name it condensation. Let's now go for freezing. Freezing occurs when liquid changes into solid. Now you have this ice track or ice tray, right? You know you have it in your freezer. You pour water inside it, right? And then you put it in the freezer and come after 5 or 3 hours, right? And you find it as ice cubes. So what did you put here? Water, right? And the water is liquid. Liquid. What happened when you came back and find it in the freezer? You find it as ice cube, which is solid. So what happened here? The liquid that you poured, the water, has changed into solid. The liquid changed into solid and we name this as freezing. Freezing is the change from liquid to solid. Evaporation is the process by which a liquid changes into gas. Now if you want to make macaroni, okay, what you will do, you will pour water inside the pan and wait for it to boil. When it starts boiling, so we have here water, right? Liquid, right? Okay, inside. And then we boil this water, make it boil, put heat and make it boil and wait for it to boil. What starts appearing? The water vapor starts going up. Water vapor, water vapor. This water vapor is which state? Of course, it's gas state. This is all of it. This is gas state. So what happened here? There is a change from liquid to gas, and the change from liquid into gas, we name it as evaporation. So today, this is our lesson. Again, let's sum up what we have took in the states. We took the melting, change from solid to liquid, and condensation is the change from gas to liquid. Freezing is the change from liquid, which is water here for example, into ice cube, which is solid, liquid to solid. And evaporation is the process by which a liquid changes into gas, like water changes into water vapor. Okay, please study this lesson, and inshallah we are going to answer together the workbook questions. Please try to answer them by yourselves until we answer them together, inshallah. I hope I made it clear and easy for you. Do not forget to write the vocabulary inside your science notebooks and write today's date. Thank you very much. See you next time, inshallah.